Hello everyone, welcome back to my brand new channel for Grown Women Only. I'm your host Nikki, and on this show we talk about love, life lessons, and leveling up. So happy new year to everyone. It is a new year, it is a new me, and I have some brand new content for you. And for the year 2020, we're going to be on 20. We're not going to be on 10, we're going to be on 20. And I have so much content that I want to put out. I've been studying, I've been reading. I just want to make sure I'm doing the most to level you up emotionally, physically, mentally, financially, any type of relationship that you're in. We want to make sure that this relationship is the best situation for you. And we're just going to have some fun because, as you guys know, this is a safe space for women. We do not judge, do not criticize. We do not make people feel bad. Gentlemen, if you want to sit in, you are always more than welcome. But the minute you come for my ladies is the minute I come for you. So let's get into this. So I really want to finish my series on womanly regrets. And I want to talk about having children outside of a married, committed, loving relationship. And the reason I want to talk about that is because over the weekend, I had the opportunity to go down to Barnes & Noble, sit down, have some coffee, and I kind of browsed to see what's out and what I might want to buy. And I came across this book called The Maid. And it talks about how a young lady basically became a single mom at a very young time in her life, a very vulnerable time in her life. And it talks about the decisions and choices that she had to make and many of the hardships that she had to endure being a single mom. So ladies, I really want to talk about this with you because it is called the fruit of your womb for a reason. I really believe that a woman is either single or engaged to be married or married. There is no boyfriend, girlfriend. There is no I'm trying to fill you out. Let me live with you. Let me see how you are in bed. Let me try out the sex. You know, all the bull crap that men like to spit at us to keep from committing. Ladies, you are either single or you are engaged to be married or you are married. There is no in between because that in between is often where children are made. And being a single mom myself, I can tell you, there are so many hardships that you endure when you are a single mom. I'm a mother. Thank God my kids are grown now, but it was tough. And if someone was sitting down talking to me the way I'm talking to you, I sincerely believe that my life would have gone another path. This is one of those choices that takes up a third of your life. You have or are responsible for children until they are about 18. And other times, if they're in college, way beyond that, right? You never really quit being a mom. And you never want to put yourself in a situation that would keep you from being your best you. As a woman, your only job ever is to invest in yourself, is to look good, is to master your femininity, to take care of yourself. Because when you do these things, you set a standard. And a standard is something that you stand on. You work on your self-esteem. You work on your looks. You work on how you present yourself in the world. You get your money right. You get your mental right. You get your emotional right. You get your physical right. That is important because that is what men judge you by. Now, they're going to say that they're not doing it. Oh, it's okay if you're this. Oh, I'm sorry, my nose is itching. It's okay if you're that. But we know that's not true. Oftentimes, men who cannot afford a certain style of woman will say, I don't really want this or I don't really want that because they can't afford it. But if you look in their Instagram and all the pictures that they like, they're liking something totally opposite of you. And the reason being is women, you need to look at yourself as a high-end car, right? And it's just an analogy, so just follow me with this. Men love cars, and men know that status is associated with a vehicle. And a lot of men have a dream car. And the reason they have a dream car is because they feel that they've reached the pinnacle in their life when they can get this vehicle. But they understand that they have to work for this vehicle, they have to save for this vehicle, they have to keep the maintenance up on this vehicle, that this vehicle is going to show people that they've arrived. And they don't mind paying for it. They don't care because this vehicle has value to them. Ladies, you are no different. You need to set yourself up to such a standard that men know immediately by looking at you if they can't afford you, if you are out of their league, or if it is something that they want, they are willing to invest in you. And a lot of times as women, we don't do this. So we get stuck in certain situations. And I can talk about this. Ladies, do not have children outside of marriage unless it is a conscious choice that you've made when you are financially, mentally, emotionally, and physically stable to have them on your own. And a lot of times for women, it's a lot later in life when they have, if they decide not to have a partner, when they are financially stable and capable and save some money and their career is going in a certain way, they're probably in their 30s, late 30s, sometimes early 40s. And ladies, let's talk about this. Sorry, my nose itching again. This hitting the wall thing. There is a childbearing time for women. But nowadays, technology has advanced us. And women tend to do a lot better than men when it comes to aging. So hitting the wall really isn't a thing for women. Now, is it hard for you to bear children after, I say 35, 40? Yes, it is. But the thing is, you want to be mentally, physically, and emotionally stable. So if you have the money, the finance, who cares when you have your children? But when you have your kids young and in a haphazard situation, when you are with someone who won't even commit to you, because you don't want to be with a man who won't even commit to you because he's not going to commit to your children. Women think that having a baby is going to keep a man. What a fallacy. It is not true. If anything, it will make a man run for the hills. Because the thing is, men are about ego. And you have to find a man who loves you more than you love him, because then his ego is never a problem. You don't want to put yourself in a situation where if things go haywire, you have no repercussion or recourse. For example, I could talk about me all day. I had children and I was married, but my marriage did not work out. And I was left with 4 little kids. And I had to figure out, how am I going to take care of my kids? Luckily, I didn't have kids by a bum. Now, was he a good husband? Hell no, he sucked. Was he a good father? Hell no, he sucked. But he was a good provider. So I knew that monetarily, I would be okay. Ladies, do not have babies by bums. Do not have babies by men who can't support themselves, who can't support you, who can't support your children, who are not invested in your family. I even tell a lot of women, once you're married, give yourself a couple of years. Get to know each other. Don't bring children right into the situation. It's just not a good look. Get to know each other. Let that part of your life settle in with each other. Enjoy each other. Have a good time with each other. Figure out what makes each other tick. Talk about children. It's called planned parenthood. You need to plan being a parent, because it is expensive. They say now that one child will cost you up to $1 million. So even when my marriage went haywire, and when I was married, yes, I got child support. Yes, I got a modification. I made sure my kids were taken care of. I did not have babies by bums. Do not have a baby by a bum. You will suffer. Ladies, there's nothing like going down to the food stamp office and having women judge you. There's nothing like going to a caseworker and having her judge you. There's nothing like being homeless. There's nothing like being in transitional housing. You don't want that experience for you or yourself, because it sets a precedence. They say that environment is much more important than genetics, right? Where you raise your children, having time to raise your kids, love your kids, nurture your kids, that is important, and it sets the precedent for their adult life. Good thing for me, I've always been a really smart girl. I've always been very smart when it came to money. I have a finance degree. I have a finance background. I have a business background. So I was always able to get good jobs where they were flexible. But I've had rough times too. I remember, when I was trying to figure out, I'm sorry, my nose itching again, what was I going to do for money? How was I going to earn enough money? I had 4 little kids. I'm paying for daycare, clothes, shoes, food, shelter. I'm doing the job of 2 people, and I had to make a choice. I had to figure out how I was going to support my family. And as a woman, you don't even want that stress on you. You don't want that stress. I remember I was working 2 jobs and going to school, going to college to get a degree. So my schedule was kind of like this. I went to work from 9 to 4. So I dropped my kids off at about 7:30, 8 o'clock for school. I head to my first job from 9 to 4. And then I would go get my kids about 4:35, depending on the traffic. I would go home, and I had school or college 3 days a week. I remember taking my kids to college with me and sitting them in the cafeteria, or even talking with the professor, and asking, is there any way my kids can sit in the back of the room if they're really quiet? I would go to school from 7 to 10. Let me go back. I would try to catch a nap if I was not going to school. So I'm sorry, let me rewind this. Let me say this right. So I went to work from 9 to 3. I would typically pick up my kids about 4:35 so they could, eat a snack, run around, get help with their homework, because by then I'm exhausted. I would go home and I would take a nap if I didn't have school. So I would take a nap from I don't know, maybe 7 to 10. Then I would work the 11 to 7 shift as a night auditor at a hotel. Thank God for good friends, because my manager allowed me to take my kids up to a hotel room and they could sleep while they worked. And then there were nights that I had college. So when I had college or classes, it was I would work 9 to 4. Then I go pick up my kids about 5, 6, get them something to eat, rush home, pack their bags. We could stay at the hotel that night, and I'd be in school from 7 to 10. I would take my kids straight to the hotel. I would kind of decompress. I would make sure they had eaten, put them to bed, and then work 11 to 7 shift. Maybe catch 2 or 3 hours of sleep, because as a night auditor, you're not busy all the time. A hotel gets quiet, and then I do it all over again the next day. I did that for 4 years. 4 years. I cannot tell you how I even did it. But I knew that education was a key for me. And I knew I had to provide financial stability for my children. Was it easy? Hell no. It's never easy. That's why I'm saying children are meant for a 2-parent household. Thank God it wasn't even my husband, it was my mother-in-law would say, hey, send the kids up here for the summer. I would send my kids up there for the summer, and I would double up on my classes. And then I worked for a company called L'Oreal. I am an event manager. So I would do that for a little while, about 3 years. And I remember my boss, Jack, was great. And he was a dad who had 3 daughters. He had 3 daughters. So he knew what it was to raise children. I've always been blessed, but I know a lot of times women don't have that opportunity. I remember going through a really rough patch in my life and trying to figure out, how the hell am I going to raise my kids? Luckily I was smart and I would hustle, and my kids never went without. But I remember moving from Maryland to Florida to raise my children, because I didn't want all the drama and all the bullshit around my kids. I just didn't. I wanted my kids to grow up in sunshine and fresh air and water and sand. And I did the best thing for my kids. Was it a struggle? Yes. Ladies, listen to me. Do not have children outside of a loving, committed marriage or relationship, unless you are financially stable and that is your choice later on in life. You don't want to grow yourself up, figure yourself out, and then try to raise a family. That is one of the toughest choices as a female you can ever make. And forget dating, dude. You don't have a life. Your kids are your life. So for me, it's I'm kind of aging backwards. Thank God, I've always exercised, took care of my skin. If I tell people how old I am, they never guess. They're like, you can't be that old. I promise you. I'm a lot older than a lot of people think. But I take care of myself. I keep myself up. But ladies, children will run you down. It's like you're taking care of someone and loving someone 24 hours a day. As a parent, you don't get time off. It's supposed to be done in a 2-parent household. And if you think that this is going to make this man act right, or if you think having a child is going to keep this man around you, it is a fallacy. He will dump you and go to someone who doesn't have kids. You really need to be conscious about who you're having your children by. Do not have children in crazy situations. Ladies, protect yourself. If you are young, if you are 14, 15, 16, you are physically or sexually active, I need you to get some birth control. I need you to figure out who you are and what you want to be, and plan your life. Because you don't want 18 to 20 years of roughing it because you've had children. If you have 1 child, I get it. But when you start having 2, 3, 4, that's when it gets tough. And the thing is, my nose is always itching. You always want to put yourself in the best position as a female, as a woman. So don't have babies by broke men, because you want to know if something goes haywire, you can get child support. Don't have babies by men who don't know what it is to be part of a family, because your kids will suffer. Look at that man's family and see how he treats his mom. See what he thinks about his sisters, because that is his first replica of a family. And 9 times out of 10, he will act out what he saw consciously and sometimes unconsciously. Make sure that you have the stability to raise a child. Kids need love, attention. And as a woman, let me go back and say this. As a female, if you are pregnant, I'm sorry, I'm just going to put this out there because I had twins my last go around. You have no business on your feet. Like, you're growing a whole human being in there. You need to be with a man who loves you and supports you and understands that you need to sit down somewhere, that you need to start taking care of your body, that you need to eat right, that you need to exercise, that you need as much downtime and love and care, because you're growing a whole life. Like, I had 2 babies at once. I was so big and tired, and by my, I think, 5th month, I looked like I was 7, 8 months pregnant already. Like, you need a man who understands that, a man who can provide for you, a man who loves you. Do not give it a man who cannot provide for you. Ladies, it will make you resentful. And then when you start bringing kids into the situation, that's something totally different. So like I said, ladies, it's called the fruit of your womb for a reason. For a reason. Make sure that you are loving yourself first, that you are putting yourself first, that you are taking care of your mental, your physical, your financial, your emotional, because that in turn will attract the right man to you. And then once you get that guy and he's loving you and he's committed to you and you guys have a plan down, then you can start thinking about a family, because a man will treat you valuable if you treat yourself valuable. And then he will in turn understand that the fruit of your womb is a blessing. Your offspring is a blessing. Men who understand legacy understand this. Do not get with men who are irresponsible, don't understand legacy, don't want to commit, don't want to do the right thing, because not only is that stressful for you, but it'll be stressful for your family, and you're dragging your kids to a situation that shouldn't even be. So ladies, like I said, love is life. Life is love. Have an awesome, awesome day, and Happy New Year to all. Bye.